Now guys, I've gone ahead and cherry-picked 15 YouTube automation niches that are currently performing extremely well with little to no barrier to entry, and the last one is going to shock you guys. Now, first of all, before we get into it, if you want to go ahead and join my public Discord server, that's discord.gg/1%. It'll be linked below, and it's honestly just a really cool networking environment for like-minded people in the YouTube automation space. And of course, before I go ahead and show you these crazy niches, please remember this is not financial advice. It's simply me giving my opinion on the current state of YouTube automation. So without further ado, enjoy this value bomb. And guys, coming up first, we have a very interesting channel. I actually found this a few days ago and I shared it in my Discord server, but this channel is absolutely insane. Bruce TS. Now, what they post is essentially ultra long form content on like the entire story and history of specific characters, specific TV shows, and specific animes. Now, they are absolutely killing it. Let me go ahead and pull up their view stats. You guys can see they only started about 9 months ago. Now, in this niche, the RPM is probably going to be about $15. Reason for that is, of course, they're super long videos, and of course, we're sitting in Q4. So realistically, $15 RPM, they've done about 5.7 million views. This one channel in the last 11 months or 9 months or whatever it was has done $85,000. And of course, it's on an upward trajectory, and that's what we really want to look for when finding these niches. I mean, they've done a little over 500,000 views this month, 542 with an RPM of about $15. This one channel has made $8,000 this month. And guys, once again, the big things you want to look for is improvements. We can do a massive improvement in a niche like this. Once again, the entire script is AI, the voice is AI, and they're not even posting very often. I mean, they're posting once a week at the moment. We could easily be posting once a day or every other day in a niche like this, considering it's all just stock footage from the anime or TV show they're kind of talking about. Now, that was one of the channels I found yesterday. It was absolutely insane. But coming up next, we have Jab MMA. They're essentially posting, and by the way, they quit. So this is an example of a niche where they kind of quit and they simply couldn't keep up with the kind of inventory and management they needed to do. So we can definitely come in and take over. Now, they only got 3.5k subs because they were brand new, but essentially what they were posting was videos like every time Conor McGregor turned his fans into haters, every time UFC fighters shut down rude interviewers, essentially normal long form based content that caters to a boxing and UFC demographic. Now, one of the reasons why he probably stopped is, of course, nowadays using deep research with ChatGPT, we can actually fetch specific timestamps and factual events that are happening as of right now. So realistically, you could kind of do the entire niche research and the script writing part of it, as well as ask it to like get sources using deep research. This has become astronomically more feasible than it was 9 months ago. And guys, really quickly, if you want me to personally scale your channel and work directly with you, go ahead and check out start.innovault.co. It's my one-on-one mentorship. We just reopened. Obviously, you can go ahead and get a completely free training video. And if you decide you want to work directly with me, go ahead and book a time that works for you, and me or one of my coaches will be in touch. And guys, getting back to the video, the next channel and niche I kind of want to talk about is called Economy Rewind. Now, this is insane. They're essentially posting finance videos, and as you guys know, finance videos have an astronomically high RPM on YouTube, especially now given the fact we're in Q4 and obviously Q3 and stuff like that. They're having super high RPMs, and they're essentially doing entirely AI-based videos. The background content is all stock footage. Of course, scripts are AI, voice is AI, everything is automated. They're essentially posting videos like they designed a system you can never escape. Kind of AI-based content talking about finance and what really goes on behind closed doors, and they are absolutely pulling in revenue. I mean, they only started about a month ago, and in that time, they've got, if we go ahead and check their views, I would say the RPM in a niche like this is probably like $11. And of course, checking their views, they've done 5 million views, 5 times 11, probably sitting at about 55k in revenue. Next up, we have a super interesting niche, and this is more for those who want a long-term channel, something they can continue building for the next 5 to even 6 years down the line. This one is an evergreen niche that will never die. It's called Life According to Science, the channel where everyday choices meet scientific truth, and they're making kind of informative videos that, once again, you could entirely replicate with AI. They're posting videos like, what if you ate only once a day? Science explained. This is what happens when you eat too much protein. And guys, let me show you exactly how I would kind of replicate their video ideas. So simply take a screenshot of their recent videos as well as their channel name. And I've simply sent the screenshot that we just took and said, I'm starting a long form YouTube channel in this same niche. Using their video ideas that performed well, replicate me outliers and concept ideas built for CTR. CTR obviously meaning click-through rate. Now, you guys will see just with this, and also, I don't know why my AI loves me so much. Bestie, this niche is a goldmine. even AI knows. But what it said is, here's some really good ideas, right? A-tier outlier video ideas. What happens if you only drink water for 72 hours? What happens if you eat zero sugar for 30 days? This is what happens when you sleep only 4 hours a night. Guys, these ideas are insane. They can entirely be written with AI, voice can be AI, and all you're really left doing is, of course, the visuals. But this is an example of a niche where you can directly come in and solve a really quick problem. Coming up with these ideas that are science-based, AI really excels in. And of course, these guys are fairly new, only starting about 1 month ago. And in that time, they've done a little over 2.5 million views. Now, do keep in mind, the RPM in a niche like this isn't that high. You're probably looking at about $4 to $6. If we go ahead and be a little bit conservative and say $5, this channel has only made about 12.5 grand, but it's definitely something with a ton of longevity. And now we have Quest and Rest. Now, this is a lo-fi based ultra long form that can be entirely automated with the use of AI. It is absolutely insane. So of course, these videos you can replicate with AI. If you want to check out my recent video, I kind of showed exactly how to make these thumbnails. But of course, all they're essentially doing is choosing a specific niche. This one is obviously medieval, like night themed. And they're posting videos like Rest Your Mind, Let It Fade In With the Rain. You can of course do this kind of medieval lo-fi style in a bunch of different niches. So for example, Japanese samurai, ancient China, stuff like that. Now, you can of course generate all the music using Suno AI and essentially just have a library of your own content that is entirely copyright free. Or of course, you can use Epidemic Sounds or a website like that to get licensed content for that specific channel. Now, these guys are pulling in an insane amount of views, started about 8 months ago. This is very oversaturated, guys. So do remember, if you are doing a niche like this, stick with something in your own sub niche. So I'll show you what I mean in a minute, but they're pulling in 1.3 million views. RPM on content like this is probably about $13. Reason why it's not as high as a normal long form channel or normal ultra long form channel is because it doesn't have any English. It's obviously music. So the demographics are a little bit warped and they're not as based in first world countries. But of course, as I was saying, if you want to find a sub niche to do, I would do something like Minecraft lo-fi, or find a sub genre where you can kind of stand out and you're not just saturated by all the other lo-fi channels. Like for example, this Drift Away Ambience guy, he does Minecraft based lo-fi channels. So he kind of found a somewhat of a sub niche that he can still do the exact same formula in and still succeed in. So you could do this in Harry Potter, in Game of Thrones, find and identify a sub niche with proof of concept. And next up, we have a super interesting niche. This one is called Save Room Archives. This is essentially another somewhat ultra long form channel. I wouldn't necessarily call it ultra long form. I'd say it's more on the cusp, right? They're making videos like A Plague Tale, the horrifying truth behind the Prima Macula, Dead Space Truth Explained, kind of going into different fandoms and creating long form content in that space. Now, he only started about a month ago, but of course he has some very good outliers we can go ahead and copy. And one of the best parts is Every Little Nightmare's boss explained the dark lore behind them. This is basically a game that's kind of popular. So it's sort of like an ultra long form built around horror games and stuff like that and horror fandoms. But one of the valuable things is if we didn't see this video here, we'd probably think that, okay, yes, this niche has some scalability, but the fact that we've seen an ultra long form video be a direct outlier in a niche like this means that we know ultra long form works in this specific niche. So by finding a niche like this, they haven't really started, capturing and really doubling down on that ultra long form style yet, even though it did work. Now, yes, they have started a little bit, but I could definitely see a world where you can come in, do 2-hour videos and upload every single day, given how easy this channel is to replicate. And next, we have a very different channel. Now, if you are looking for just ultra long form and just YouTube automated channels, I would skip ahead. But this channel is a prime example of a way that you can build a brand outside of YouTube automation and into the millions of dollars. Now, no, I'm not saying you're going to make millions of dollars, but this guy here, Fancy Games, he also does similar content to this. And guys, this is once again a very niche structure. Only do this if you have some sort of game development experience.
So this might sound crazy.
If you have some sort of game development experience or you're willing to learn. This guy essentially made like his own game called Escape the Backrooms, and he obviously published it onto Steam and used YouTube automation as his primary driving factor. And his game on Steam ended up making $15 million in profit. So that's kind of what this guy is kind of building up. He's starting his own personal brand where he can eventually scale it out of YouTube automation into his own indie game. Now, I know this is not relevant. You only do this if you know how to code, but if you do know how to code, this is an absolute insane niche to kind of build a personal brand and scale it past just YouTube as a whole. And next up, we have another ultra long form channel. This one is called Sleep Nomad, and they are pretty new, only starting about 6 months ago. And they essentially post really philosophical ultra long form based content like The Logician Who Shattered Certainty, all of Kurt Gödel's philosophy explained, The Evolution of Materialism, The First Anarchist, Pierre Joseph Proudhon, all these other ultra long form videos built around specific people in history that was somewhat philosophy. Now, these guys are absolutely printing. I mean, if we go ahead and check their recent or their last 28 days, RPM is definitely about $30 on this type of content, maybe even 40. Let's go ahead and say 35 times 550, obviously their views. They have done $20,000 in revenue just this month. Of course, by checking their lifetime revenue, they've done about 2.6 mil views times 30, because of course it wasn't in Q4 previously, probably about 78K in total revenue. Once again, that's a super easy channel to replicate with AI, and it really doesn't have too much visuals going on the screen. Next up, we have History on Walls. Now, similar to the previous channel, this is brand new, only starting about 1 month ago, and they essentially talk about America or different kind of countries, actual constructions and the history behind those things. So for example, the tragic story of America's most famous castle, the Bolt Castle documentary, the secret royal mansions that Windsor don't want you to see. Once again, entirely AI-based footage. You can literally look up pixels on Google. Go to this website right here, press videos, and look up like medieval Europe, and there'll be a ton of kind of copyright-free videos you can literally use for free in your uploads. And as you can see right here, literally a 20-second video, we can go ahead and download, add to a folder, and just continue using that in our future videos. And getting very close to the final channels, we have Bedtime History. Now, they're of course posting ultra long form videos again, kind of on the history of different civilizations. So like, what are the secrets the Vatican never wanted you to know? Uncovering civilizations older than we think. So sort of conspiracy-based channels. Once again, printing a ton, and of course they are monetized. We can see right here, 108K views, $30 RPM, probably about 3K this month. But once again, they're not posting very consistently. Next up, we have Phantom Core Fitness. Now, this is once again another one of those niches where you kind of build it outside of just YouTube automation and into a personal brand. So they're essentially posting gym-based content, which once again has a ton of potential to kind of build an e-com store or anything that really builds past and negates that YouTube automation genre and kind of branding as a whole. Now, they're very new, only starting about 2 months ago, and they're essentially posting videos like how to do push-ups, stop training the wrong way, what happens when you do 50 push-ups every single day. You can obviously replicate their outliers. Seems like these kind of what ifs or how-to type content in this industry does very well. So once again, by replicating that same structure we showed in the last couple minutes of the video on ChatGPT, you can replicate some outliers and get some crazy good ideas. Now, this niche is very unique. They are called Dreadwell. Now, they essentially post videos like Brazil's most sinister mystery, kind of really scary based content on things in history. Now, I see a ton of potential to do a niche like this, but in ultra long form, and I think it could absolutely bang. They only started about 3 months ago, so I would recommend copying some outliers and trying to test on how we can kind of incorporate longer based videos in this genre. And guys, we are very close to the end now. This is the top 3 niches. The Invisible Game, exploring the unpredictable future of our society. Now, these guys are absolutely printing. The overdue collapse of overpriced coffee, obviously talking about Starbucks. The overdue collapse of corporate consulting. Now, this is yet again one of those niches where the videos are a little bit more difficult to create, but the upside is definitely worth it, seeing as how kind of long-term and how much longevity these specific niches have. Of course, you can use AI for the voice, you can use AI for the script, but you will have to kind of get some editing and of course some visuals made. They're doing about 700K long form views a month, and as you can see, they just recently blew up about a week ago. Second to last, we have Woofo. Now, these guys do space documentaries similar to Space Dust and channels like this, but they're doing it more so based on specific topics and specific planets that actually exist. So for example, Gravastars, black holes, evil twin, even more terrifying, obviously ultra long based content, about a $30 RPM, and they're absolutely killing it, having started only a few months ago. Yeah, 4 months ago. So I see a lot of people saying, well, is the space niche kind of dead? No, not if you innovate. If you want to stick with somebody like Space Dust and you don't ever want to innovate or make different content, then yes, it is super oversaturated. And last but not least, we have the Soprano Files. They essentially use AI for the script, AI for the voice, absolutely everything, and they're absolutely pumping out content, posting videos like why NJ can't survive without Silvio Dante, essentially content based on the Sopranos, and there's a ton of different fandoms where you can kind of replicate this idea. Game of Thrones, there's a ton of things like you can do Harry Potter, so many different industries, and of course, replicate exactly what worked here. And once again, deep research is really good at knowing specific TV shows and timestamps in in those TV shows. And guys, once again, if you want to work directly with myself on my one-on-one mentorship program, go ahead and check out start.innovault.co. And of course, if you want to join my public Discord server, that's discord.gg/1%. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you learned something new. Have a great day.